It is great to be with you. I want to start with a question. If you had a pencil and piece of paper in your hand and you were going to say, these are the 5 essential ingredients of a good marriage, what would you write? That's a rhetorical question to stimulate your thought, not for your answering aloud. What would you write? If you had to say, these are the 3 essential ingredients of a good and godly and healthy and perseverant marriage, what would you write? If you had to write, this is the one essential ingredient that will determine the character and quality of your marriage, I want you to think, what would that one word that you would put on the page be? What one word would you write and say, if this thing isn't in its proper place, the marriage won't be either? What one word would you write? Whenever I think of doing a marriage or parenting weekend, I always think of this. I think that Luella and I have been married for 37 years. Some of you have heard me say this, maybe. I know you're looking at me and thinking I'm way too young to be married that long. So if you're trying to calculate my age, I was married at 7. And throughout our marriage, Luella and I have struggled with a particular issue. It's the issue of time. Well, it's really been more my struggle than Luella's. Luella was raised in Cuba, and she has sort of a combination of an island and a Latin view of time. An appointed hour to her is like a rough estimate. She lives on a bit of a vibe. You know, you go to the islands because time slows down. I was raised by a man who thought that the sole litmus test of the value of a human being was punctuality. You're on time, you can live. And so we've struggled with this issue. There was once we were going to go to a state park, and we had agreed that we would leave at 3 o'clock. For me, that's the law of the Medes and Persians that cannot be broken. For Luella, that's a rough estimate. About 3:15, I realized we weren't leaving on time. And I started to get upset, not thinking that I could help. And Luella informed me of something very radical. She informed me that we didn't, in fact, have an appointment at the state park. That was radical. And then she got on roll, said they weren't going to give our table away to somebody else. They weren't going to roll the grass back and remove the trees and put them in a garage. They weren't going to suck the water out of the lake. It was really okay. Now, all of that is to set up this moment on this Easter Sunday in the Tripp family. Now, if you have a family of young children, you know that Sunday morning is not the most relaxed morning of the week. Isn't that right? We're stuffing children in vans saying, shut up, we're going to worship. We call that preparing our hearts for worship. And our church, for reasons I don't really understand, had decided that the best way to celebrate the resurrection was to have a full breakfast before the service on Sunday. That means we have to leave about an hour and a half early. I wake up with feelings of futility. I know there's no way possible that this is going to happen. I go into the bathroom, and there standing in the bathroom is my wife, Luella, and my then 9-year-old son. And I can tell by the way that Luella's dressed that she's not near being ready. So I start saying helpful things to her. Like informing her it's not an Easter dinner, it's an Easter breakfast. She found that helpful. Telling her that a couple of our children were already in the car waiting like usual. Reminding her that I'm an elder in the church and my arrival before the ham and eggs is very important to my ministry.